Well, hi, welcome back to Then We Eat. On this week's edition, we'll be making Snickerdoodle zucchini bread. So I've just turned the oven on and I've got it preheating to 350 degrees. And the next thing we need to do is prepare our pans. So I'm just going to give it a light spritz with some oil and then give it a light dusting with some flour. Don't forget to get the sides. And we're just going to give it a light dusting of flour. Okay, so there's my pans, lightly greased and lightly floured. I'm just going to set these aside and we're going to start with the zucchini. Okay, so you need 2 cups of grated zucchini. To get to the 2 cups is going to depend on the size of the zucchini that you have. So I'm going to start with this first one, see what we have, and I'm probably going to have to do a second. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to cut the top off and cut the bottom off. Then we're going to peel it. I'm going to cut it in half just to make it a little easier to handle. And then I'm going to cut it in lengthwise and half again lengthwise. And we're going to give it a grate. So what you want to do is you want to grate it on the largest section on your box grater. You don't want to use the really small stuff because you don't want it too small. You just want it nicely grated. And be careful with your fingers. This is my 2-cup measuring cup. We'll see how much we have here. I'm a little bit shy, so I'm going to do another half a zucchini and we'll be back when we have our 2 cups. So there's my 2 cups. I'm just going to clean up a little bit and we'll get moving on with the next step. So the next thing we're going to work on is our dry ingredients. Normally people would put this in a bowl. I find it just as easy to use a sieve. Put all your flour and your dry ingredients through the sieve. It does actually make it a little easier. So you're going to need 3 cups of flour. This is 3 cups of flour. Into the sieve it goes. And to my 3 cups of flour, I'm going to add 3 teaspoons of cinnamon, a half a teaspoon of allspice, a teaspoon of baking soda, a half a teaspoon of baking powder, and a teaspoon of salt. So all of my ingredients in my sieve, I'm just going to give it a little shake. It mixes everything together, but it also gives a little bit of air to the flour. If you have little bumps at the bottom, just give it a little rub with your finger. That breaks up all the flour. And I use kosher salt, so I do have kosher salt left in the bottom. Now it's in with my flour. Okay, so we're going to move on to our wet ingredients. To our bowl, we're going to add a cup of vegetable oil, 1 3/4 cup of white granulated sugar, and 3 eggs, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And I'm going to give that a mix. And now we're going to add the dry ingredients to the wet ingredients. I'm going to add a little bit of it at a time. It's just easier to mix in. Now your batter might look a little dry, but that's okay because we're about to add the zucchini and that's going to give it a lot more moisture. So to our bowl, we're going to add our 2 cups of zucchini, and I'm just going to use my spatula and hand mix it in rather than use the mixer. And let's mix this in. Okay, so there's that mixture. I'm just going to set this aside for a second and we're going to work on this snickerdoodle section. To our bowl, we're going to add a half a cup of brown sugar and 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. And we're going to give that a mix. And I'm going to use my fingers. I'm just breaking up any brown sugar that's in a clump as I go. Okay, so there's our cinnamon sugar. I'm going to put this aside, and it's time to start putting it into our pans. I'm going to put a quarter of the batter in the bottom of each one of my pans. Next, I'm going to take the cinnamon sugar that we made. I'm going to divide it in half, put half over the top of each one of my loaf pans. And now I'm going to take the rest of the batter and put it on top of our cinnamon sugar. So there's the pans. I've stretched it out as best I could. There's still a little bit of the Snickerdoodle in behind. That just means that it will bubble up through the loaf when it's baking. So I'm going to put these in a 350-degree oven that I have preheated already for 40 to 45 minutes. So before I do that, I want to take this opportunity to thank you very much for watching the video. Hit the like if you like what you saw. Share with all your friends. It really does help. Hit the notification bell, lets you notify when we upload a new video. And don't forget to subscribe if you're not already. And the all-important, don't forget to comment. Let us know how we did. Or better yet, what would you like to see us make next? So into the oven they go, and welcome back. We're into the next day. The bread was cooking as we were eating dinner last night, so I decided to finish the video today. The bread's cooked, it's out of the oven. I've cut a nice slab, and that's what it looks like. So you can see where the cinnamon sugar went halfway through, which is perfect. Now the best part, let's give it a try. Oh man, that is so good. You definitely get the hint of cinnamon. It's all the way through there in the sugar. You can just barely taste the zucchini. It's not really a very heavy taste, but you can taste it. It is really good. This is fantastic bread. So if you have extra zucchini hanging around, maybe you grew it in the summer and you grew too much, this is an excellent recipe to use up that zucchini. So that pretty much does it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. And don't forget, first we cook, then we eat.